Nestor's near no-no. The Yanks and the Mets are the first to 20, and the Dodgers quietly sneak into first place overall in the majors. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. We are doing the good old Monday Night Live. We haven't done a Monday Night Live since the last Monday Night Live, whenever we did that. Good to have Dog back in the fold. He took a little sabbatical, an unintended sabbatical last week, but we'll have more on that later during our Diehard Dads segment. It's been a little roller coaster week for our lovely dog over here, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Good to have him back, and we did do a show previously. Serendipitously, we didn't have Dog on the last show because we did our Kentucky Derby preview, and boy, if we didn't get you interested in the Kentucky Derby, you totally blew it, because that was like an epic sporting event for our time. That was amazing, the way Rich Strike came in, and I mean, he made me, it was like a poor strike for me, because I literally lost every single one of my bets with that horse winning. But it was well worth it to witness history, and there's some really great videos out there. And Dog and I think, have even retweeted the one that shows Rich Strike coming from basically the back of a 20-horse field through like a miracle ride, and like that's up there with like USA over the Soviet Union in hockey, like that kind of upset. It just was absolutely, he needed everything to go right, and had to also, I mean, it's just an amazing story. But maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But nonetheless, baseball is on the hot the hot burner on the front stove right now, and that is if you are a Mets or Yankees fan, if you are from the New York, New Jersey area, which our analytics say that most of you are. That's why we've been focusing much more lately on Yanks and Mets, but we can't ignore the Dodgers because they're just quite good, and we also cannot ignore a bunch of other things. The first thing we can't ignore is we need your support, and we are not afraid to ask for it. So please follow us everywhere at Diamond Diehards. That's on all social media, and that is even on LinkedIn if you want to do some business with us. We'll talk about our wonderful sponsors a little bit later in the show, as we like to work them in. It's such a good mix and some great people that we really get to deal with, and that's been one of the great experiences of Diamond Diehards. But we need your support. So follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, or if you are not right now watching us live on the Facebook page or the Facebook group, please go join that Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Diamond Diehards. That's where you really get, you're at the cutting edge if you're on the Facebook group, and then you get to participate with us along in the show. If you have a veteran of the day that you would like us to honor, then please hit us up on any of those social medias. And if you want to hit up the dog directly, you can find him on Twitter at JeffHealy8. That's the number 8. And I'm at Diamond Diehards over there. That's where we're looking at mostly. We're practically on Twitter 24/7. Not quite, but something like that. And if you do have a veteran of the day, please don't be afraid to ask us to honor your veteran. And when we have guests, we often will let our guests present a veteran of the day, as we did last week with the sniper Barry Spears. But our veteran of the day emeritus is the dog Jeff Healy, and I gave him a nice little intro to prepare his notes, and he will kick it off with, in fact, veteran of the day. Dog?
All right, thanks, Riz. And of course, I clicked away from it. Give me a sec here.
Of course you did.
Well, you started talking about the Facebook group. I'm like, oh, I should pull up the Facebook group on here. So I got halfway through that, and anyway, here we are. So our veteran of the day is a little bit unusual for us. Actually, she's not currently or have previously served in the military, though her stepbrother did in the Ukrainian Navy. So I'm saying that's close enough. A cool story on her. So our veteran of the day is, just to wrap here, is Dr. Irina Anushkevich. Just graduated the University of the Incarnate Word Fiat School of Pharmacy down in San Antonio, Texas. I happen to know that because my nephew Sean, my godson, actually graduated as the first Dr. Healy in the family. So we're all pretty geeked up about that. But Irene had a wonderful story that I think really captured me while I was listening to the graduation. She immigrated from Belarus. Was a great athlete growing up. Got to spend a month a year for 5 years in Italy, so she got to see kind of what the West was like while she was growing up, and wound up emigrating over from Belarus to the United States and going to school and then graduating with her pharmacy degree. And she saw what was going on in Ukraine, obviously, so her neighboring country in there. And her aunt and her family had lived in Odessa, right on the Black Sea there, which is just starting to get hit by some missiles and so forth, unfortunately. And her stepbrother served in the Navy there. And she decided that she worked hard. She ran up, I'm sure, huge debts and whatnot to go be a doctor of pharmacy. And she is dropping everything. She didn't even go to graduation. As soon as she finished her degree requirements, she actually boogied out and is working for a nonprofit called International Medical Relief, which is working to help support and to help cure people in Ukraine. So she is immediately putting her knowledge to work as soon as possible to go out and make a difference in the world. So I thought that was just a really remarkable situation. I said she's kind of a veteran in through the stepbrother, let's say we'll call it. But you know what, kind of all hands on deck at that point anyway. So I think she certainly more than qualifies. So just a wonderful story, I thought. I think a great way to kind of show that these young folks, a lot of them going up and being selfless and dedicating themselves to really living up the oath that they just took. So our villain of the day, Dr. Irina Anushkevich.
Doggo, do you always come up with these good ones?
So that was a fun one.
That was yeah, like dog,
I'll be honest, I was gonna use Dad, but I was like, this was kind of cool. We'll do it. We'll do that later. So.
Yeah,
he's already been a bit.
It'd be like a double.
Yeah, there we go. Daily double.
Speaking of daily double, I didn't hit it at. We could talk about the Derby for a second because that was, to me, that was one of the great sporting events of our lifetime. Like, so if you haven't understood the story, the way the Kentucky Derby works now is there's a points system to get in, and you have to race in a certain amount of prep races and earn a certain amount of points, and to get basically into the top 20 in the points rankings, you get to start in the 20-horse field. Well, what they also do is and this is for a lot of horse races, not just the Derby, they do something called an also eligibles list. And in the also eligibles list, that means if a horse scratches, which means they decide to not run in the race for whatever reason. It could be the trainers decide to do that. It could be the vet. It could be, something happens with the horse and they just decide to not run it. Then for each also eligible that's in the race, they are offered a spot if a horse scratches. Now, in conventional races, this happens the day of the race, the morning of the race, usually by like, say, 10 o'clock, usually a couple of hours before the first post. They'll determine the scratches, and if there's also eligibles, they say, hey, you're eligible for this race. Do you want to put your horse in? And then they'll say yes or no. But for the Kentucky Derby, you have to scratch by 8 o'clock the morning before the Derby, and the Derby's on a Saturday. So you have to scratch 8 o'clock Friday morning in order for an also eligible to kick in. Otherwise, they just run with less horses in the field. Well, that happened. And, of course, Rich Strike got into the field that way. So when they say this horse wasn't even in the field 36 hours before the race started or thereabouts, that's what they mean. That's how this horse had to get in. It had to be the number 20 horse, actually, of all horses, who was basically the last one in the field, scratched, and Rich Strike drew into the field. Now, Dog, I was kind of thinking about, like how you could relate this to another sporting event of kind of like a miraculous comeback. So it's not, the thing is, it's not like if this horse just ran and this horse was the longest shot on the board among 20. So it's not like there were 8 horses and it was like 80-1. There were 20 horses and this was the last one that everybody picked. And it shouldn't have even been in the race, right? Theoretically, based on, it was just almost like luck or misfortune that this horse even got in there. So that's just a story in and of itself. But then the horse wins, and that's just a good enough story, right? But then you watch the race, and this horse pulls off a miracle. A miracle. If you just saw that, if this was a Thursday at Aqueduct and you saw this race, it would be like the first story on like SportsCenter. You'd be like, how did this horse even do this? But to do it in the Kentucky Derby, and the jockey had never won a stakes race, let alone the biggest race in America. So there's so much that goes into it. But dog,
Like they pulled an inside straight flush.
I don't even know what that is, but yeah, it's something like that, right? Like it's so good that like you can't even. But like on like your third day playing poker, like that, like you got into the World Series of Poker because like other people couldn't come in, like and then you pull that like in on the final table. But dog, when you watch the race, the best angle is and on top of that, the 2 best horses in the race are battling it out down the stretch. And this horse comes up and just blows by both of them like they're standing still, even though they were flying. It's just crazy. So I'm watching that above angle that shows you like the last turn and then the home stretch. And the announcer, Larry Colmus, who's just incredible, like he doesn't even see Rich strike until the horse is basically passing the other 2. Like, because it was so impossible. Like this horse wasn't even in the race. Dog, you watch, like first he's got to get through like 4 horses and 2 are jumping out from the rail and one's like a little bit on the outside and he just gets through those. Like if he doesn't get through there, it's over,
Yeah.
Right? It's over there.
Yeah.
Then
No, I kept waiting for him to like go for the rail. Then like,
right.
like the rail got close up. Like, oh, he's screwed.
Well, the second one, then it was like 2 horses from the outside and 1 on the inside, and he just squeezes through before that gap closes.
Yeah.
Then he gets to the rail, and he kind of has like a little bit of daylight.
Yeah.
But then the horse that's on the rail, like just hits molasses, and he doesn't have the rail, so he has to jump like 2 lanes to his right.
Yeah.
And he's still.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was kind of going for the rail. Then all of a sudden the guy that kind of got there. All of a sudden they cut back. I'm like, oh man.
Oh my God.
So
then he's running in like the 2 or the 3 lane, and it's exactly how you describe it. Like the rail, the closest to the rail will be the 1 lane, the next lane would be the 2. There's not lanes on the track, it's just wherever the horses would run. But then you're like, but he's still like 5 lengths behind the second place horse or the third place horse at that time.
He's already a good story. Like
right, he already
would have made the story like, wow, look at this horse that came out of nowhere and like finished 5th.
Yeah. Or at like he would have had to get into the money.
He was back a little bit, but
right.
Still, like it was already a great story. Like just even there.
Right. If he gets to 3rd, it's a pretty great story. You're like, wow, this horse finished 3rd and jacked up the trifecta and the superfecta, right? But then he jumps out, and you're like, okay, he's going to lose momentum, and this horse he just was running a hole in the wind, and he blows by the other 2, and you have like the second biggest upset in Kentucky Derby history, the biggest in like 109 years. I mean, so basically, let's just face the facts. It was the biggest one. I mean, come on. Like, whatever happened in 1913, like, there might be a couple of people around that were alive when that happened, but nobody actually watched it that's still around, right? I mean, it was unbelievable. So I'm watching this again and again. And dog, I gotta tell you, I have watched that replay probably 60 times, and I still can't believe it. The thing that I equate it to the most is the Patriots' comeback in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, where you go to like I think it's the last 16 plays of that game, and every single thing had to happen exactly the way it happened for the Patriots to even be in the game, let alone win it, right? Until you get to the overtime, right? It goes all the way to like the coin toss of overtime, And then it kind of, then you're like, all right, they're just going to go down and win it. But even then, like, that's what it was like. Like, it was such a confluence of events. The thing is, like, that makes it different is like the Patriots are the Patriots. Like, they had Tom Brady. Like, this
Yeah.
would be like if you had the best horse and like he just couldn't run
Yeah.
in some of these preps, and he just ran, like, he got a third place in this bad prep, and he somehow just got in. But like, you kind of knew you're like, this horse could, like, if this horse gets in, this horse could win, and it has a top trainer and it has a top jockey. No, none of that. No, this horse had like nothing. None of that. this was this was the as you said, dog, this is the playbook for the
I mean,
Giants.
it might be the 2007 Giants
I don't
against
know.
the Patriots, right?
It might be the
I mean, kind of coming
2022
along
Giants.
like, I mean, confidence is about to get fired, like this
Yeah.
terror all of a sudden, like there's no way they're gonna make it, like every crazy comeback the whole way there, and then they finally peak at the right time and take it.
I feel like
The
maybe
unstoppable.
the 2022 Giants. Can we have that?
Somebody might have suggested that.
I'm giving you credit. I'm giving you credit.
Doggo.
Oh boy, so
Who's
that
on
was
that horse? Daniel Jones.
Sonny Leone. That was the jockey for that was
He's
the
number eight,
jockey
the
for
number
Rich
8
Strike.
horse.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh man.
That was really something. So I hope so. And the funny thing was the sniper Barry Spears, who was our guest. I made a joke, like I sent him. Well, Dog knows this, but you guys don't know this. So when we're getting people to come on the show, I, not only do I like to hear myself talk, I also like to write and make people read the stuff that I write. So I usually send people a nice long email that details everything that's going to happen in the show the way we want it. And even though it's not a scripted show and I don't like scripting,
That's the only forethought we put into this.
yeah, it's pretty thorough.
It is.
So one of the things
good.
that I said, I mentioned in our email, and I thought I had to listen back to the show. I'm like, I think we joked about Rich Strike winning, but I didn't. I've joked about the number 4 horse winning, which had like no shot. I sent him an email. I said, if we end up talking more about Eric B and Rakim rather than Eric Reed, then we'll just go with it, but we'll get ourselves back on track. So Eric B and Rakim, the great rap act from the 80s, which Dog knows nothing about, except for the times that I made him listen to them. And Eric Reed, the trainer for Rich Strike. So I had it in there, Dog. I had it in there.
So close.
And the funny thing is, I whenever there's like big races like that, a lot of times I'll just take the longest shot on the board, like right before post time, and be like, what's the source about? I'm just going to put $2 on it for the hell of it. And if I had done that, actually, Dog, I still wouldn't have even broken even. That's how bad a day it was for Riz. Actually, it wasn't just a bad day. It was a bad 2 days. But that's all right. I didn't care. I saw the upset, so I was so happy as like a sports fan and as a racing fan.
He turned you into a poor ball.
Whatever. You know what? I'm not doing well in my horse wagering this year, but I'm doing really well in the sports wagering. So so overall I'm up.
There you go.
So, but whatever. Anyway, so we got that in, and we go through the weekend. And last week we didn't do the show, but we of course had the Mets combined no hitter, and here on Monday, May 9th, the Yankees, after their rain-soaked weekend with Texas, end up playing a game earlier in the day, and nasty Nestor Cortes decides that he's going to try to throw a no-hitter. And he makes it 7 1/3, which is a career high in innings. And this time Aaron Boone leaves him out there. And he gives up a single, and it was a legit single. It wasn't like, it wasn't a missile, it wasn't a rope, whatever, but it was, it was an MLB single. It was a little bit of a little less than a blooper to center field, and he comes out. Next guy comes on, gets the double play. They get out of the inning. Rizzo knocks in Judge with a run in the bottom of the 8th. And, Doug, I don't know if you had a chance to see that part of the Yankee game, but what was very interesting, NYY Kate, our pal, our Australian pal,
Hmm.
who doesn't listen to the show, but she'll be talked about.
I was actually following through your guys' Twitter exchange. I was actually still working watching the market meltdown today, but
Oh yeah,
I
well,
was actually following along with the Twitter exchange. I knew things are going pretty well for the Yanks.
yeah. So Kate, who's a great fan and a great observer of the game, noted something that I don't think the announcers noted, and that was that Rizzo got caught between second and third as Judge was rounding home, and
Rounding
uh,
third head for home.
yeah, like he was going to make it because the throw was up the line. It was up toward first base, so it wasn't a close play at home. But if the throw was on line, it might have been like cut off, or at least there was maybe a little some hesitation because Rizzo just basically stopped right between second and third, even though he might have been able to make it to third on the throw. But what he
Mhm.
essentially was doing was he was giving himself up to kind of guarantee the run because let's face it, you're in a 0-0 game. It's the eighth inning. And if you get that run and you got Chapman coming in, you just boom, one play, you walk out of there with a win. And he did that. So it was good base running, I thought, by cousin Anthony, and a good job by NYY Kate recognizing. And of course, anything that Anthony Rizzo does, we take credit for as well over here because he's
Yeah, I mean,
cousin
I didn't
Anthony.
see it, but if he does get tagged prior to Judge getting home, right? If he basically runs into like the cutoff guy, right? That's sort of the risk, right? That he could get tagged between second and third before
No, but
Judge
it was a
scored.
good play because he saw that there was nobody near him. So
Okay.
he stayed well away from
Yeah,
all
well,
of the
that's what I mean. Like he
fielders.
doesn't run himself into like where if someone like does the
Oh, right,
cutoff and
right,
runs
right.
over and tags you,
Oh,
right?
there,
And
yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
Judge gets home,
Right,
that it
like if
would
he was
cause him to run.
right, like if he was going straight to third and they cut it and they threw to third, that might have
Nail him
happened.
prior to, yeah.
But he just stayed right in no
He
man's land. There
played
was
it
not a
safe, yeah.
yeah, there was not a fielder within 25 feet of him either way. So he's
Hmm.
he's gonna if they have to pay attention to him and hang him up, he guarantees the way that Judge scores. The reason I mention that, dog, is not to just pump cousin Anthony's tires, but to me, it's the difference in New York baseball this year that we're seeing.
Yep.
And we have not seen that with either team over these last however many years. The year the Mets went to the World Series in 2015, I think we did see that. We saw, the ability to move runners up, and when when you have timely hitting, dog, when you have a lot more runners in scoring position with two outs, right? You
Yep.
get a lot more opportunities, and when you start putting the balls in play at a higher rate, like everybody pisses on Joey Gallo, and I'm not here to say he's like a savior, but I at least see an effort where the guy is making a little bit more contact this year. And I think that it's representative of what
Yep.
they're trying to do as a whole. And now you got the Yankees gave up the catching position for defense this year. And it's made a huge difference. Like they just had these games with Texas, they took 2 out of 3, right? They scored 2, 2 and 1 in the 3 games, and they won 2 of them. One and the other one, they were right there. Michael King, who's been lights out all year, it's the first game where he actually gave something up, and they ended up losing the game. Fine, it's baseball. You lose games, right? It's like gambling. If you're gonna want to wager, that's fine. Be prepared to lose. You're gonna lose. That's part of the game. That's what happens. Um, Interestingly enough, the same thing that is happening there on defense and putting the ball in play. They've given up the catcher position there for defense. They've given up the shortstop position for defense and contact hitting, and they've improved as well at second. Rizzo being there at first, he's tremendous compared to. I mean, and Luke Voigt was serviceable as a first baseman. He was not horrible. He wasn't good. He was just, middle of the road somewhere as a first baseman. Anthony Rizzo is like top of the heap as a defensive guy. And it's not just that. Like he has a presence on the diamond. And those players know that when they have to make a tough throw, like he's just going to get it. Like, and he gets it every time. And he's so calm and he does it so easily. And that's made a big difference. Judge in the outfield brandishing his glove, he looks better defensively to me now than he ever has. Why? I think it helps him that he plays center field a lot of the time. I think he's sharp. I think he's definitely good enough to be an everyday center fielder defensively. Is he going to be the top guy in the league? I don't think he'll be the top guy in the league, but I think he's pretty damn good, like representative of what other teams are going to put out there. Stanton has played pretty well in right field when he's been out there. Um, that's a big improvement around the diamond, and it's made their pitching a lot better from top to bottom, I think. The bullpen we know and we expected would be good, but they've been lights out. The starting pitchers, we had a lot of questions. They've been really good too, and they've been consistent. But Nestor Cortes has better numbers than Garrett Cole since the start of last season, which is insane, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's phenomenal. Now, Doug, let's go across the Queens, and I think we're seeing a lot of the same things.
Yep, maybe even more so. I would say with Buck, um, that it is. You can tell it's a complete organizational change. They purposely went and when they got rid of Chili Davis last year, it was a mistake. I mean, I think you'd have to say yes, based on the way the hitting regressed. And where I think you really get the proof on it is that when you look at the way guys are playing this year and how when the brains aren't all mushed up, right? And they're kind of empowered versus ordered, maybe a way to put it. That they're going up there with the plan to execute and they're put in position to succeed when they're up there in the batter's box. Probably the biggest one turnaround is McNeil. Once again, looks like the guy he was 2 years ago that can basically put the ball in play almost at will. Completely knocking down the shift. There's clearly been a mode to attack the shift that was been put in throughout the organization. You're seeing Alonso was doing that. Everyone throughout the lineup was attempting to beat the shift. And I think that eventually opens things up for you, and that allows you to go and take those bigger swings later on when you have the room to actually make it. Right, so you're basically it's old school, right? Hit the ball where they ain't. If you got a Jeff McNeil and you put one guy over on that side of the ball, that guy's going to hit 350, 400, right? If you give him that whole area, he's going to hit a ton. So, and they're realizing that that's the way to sort of play it. They've got a deeper lineup now, so they can go, and if that one base is open, they'll take it and just move on to the next guy. And the players they brought in from the A's have been phenomenal. They've worked out perfectly. I mean, probably some of the best free agent signings they've gotten. They really haven't missed on any of them. So it's just even Kana. I was like, well, we'll see. I mean, he's been a rock star for him. They're all basically just clicking at this point. Limo's kind of back to the way he used to be. And up at the top, the Cano move would not have happened until Steve Cohen came in. And for all those that know, obviously Robbie Cano, when they had to cut down from 28 to 26, the Mets were kind of looking at they could bite the bullet on Cano, who's clearly the worst player on the roster at that point.
Well, the least useful, if you want to say that.
Okay, I'll give it that. Okay. So you had him, you had Dom Smith, who had options, but clearly, if you're looking at just pure talent and pure upside and future of the organization, you want Dom to stay. I think it was JD Davis, I think also had options as well, right? So it was another one that they could have been, last year might have been, frankly. But he's, healed up a little bit and he's starting to kind of perform the way he used to. And he went, and Steve Cohen went in and said, hey, this Billy Esper, the GM, laid out, these are the options, these are the financial impacts, et cetera, et cetera. Steve Cohen went and said, make the baseball decision. And they went ahead and did it. And unless clearly like the next day, it was like all three of those guys all had like huge hits in a comeback victory for the Mets that, just simply wouldn't have happened under the older franchise.
That was a turn on the Met game moment. But guess who had it on? I had it on the whole time.
That
I
is
think I
true.
was telling you guys to turn on the Met
You
game.
did. I popped it on because of you.
We're gonna get back
That was
to
when Twitter for once was steering me the wrong way. I was following Mets Twitter and like it was disaster. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll put it on.
that kind of is like a Riz move right there, though. Like
That
I do watch like especially in hockey. Like I watch the stupid Devil game. They're losing like 6-1. Like last year they were losing a game to the not this season that just completed, the season before that. They were losing a game at the end of the year to the Penguins by 6 goals. It was like 6-0 going into the third period. I'm like, I don't know. You know what?
remember that from you.
I watch. I just watch. I don't know why I watch it. Like I just watch it in case like I'm ever, in case there's ever going to be the miracle comeback. Like then I was in on it. And they score, and you're like, whatever. And they end up scoring 6 goals against they were one of the worst teams of the league. The Penguins were, well up and bound for the playoffs. They score 6 goals in the third period, and then they give one up, and they lose by one. Like at least they scored friggin' 6 goals. Like they didn't quit. But that Met game, they give you that feeling. They give you that feeling. And the Yankees kind of gave us that feeling, like sort of in a different way. Like the fact that they could go and manufacture runs and hold teams down, they're just playing better, more exciting, well-rounded baseball now. They're striking out less. They're moving runners more. They're playing way better defense. They're pitching better. And like you said, the Mets, it's like every move that Billy Hepler made, they're the A's East, right? With Chris
Yeah,
Bassett and Mark Canha and Starling Marte. Like
been
he's
rough.
like Starling
Huge.
Marte, dog. You know what? Like I feel like Starling Marte brings to the Mets kind of like what Rizzo brings to the Yankees. Great defense, calm guy. But then when he gets fired up, like everybody gets fired up on that guy,
Yeah,
and he also looks
veteran presence that they all rally around. You can really see it.
he's good.
Yeah,
He's better than I thought
yeah, I
that
agree.
he is, and he's like age is just a number on him.
Yeah.
He looks like he's got plenty left, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. Buck,
Goes over right field, never plays it,
yeah,
rocking it out.
and he's playing at Gold
No
Glove, Gold
problem.
Glove, Gold Glove. He's getting
Yeah,
everything over there.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I mean, and they just basically like rated the A's for these guys. Like just keep going back to the same team. Who the hell is
We
this
do.
kid? What the hell is this kid doing on my team? Man, very exciting times here in New York, and we're going to talk about the reason there was a little. We'll get to it later in Diehard Dads. There
Yeah.
was a little
Actually,
something.
if we could, Rich, just real quick on the Mets, I think another thing that is different as well is like just the resiliency, right? Like you had like DeGrom, boom, like right before the season, right? Everything's gonna work out. DeGrom goes down. How many times have we seen this? And it's gonna be 2 months. It's gonna be 4 months, right? It's the Met month, and it's just the spiral it's gonna be, right? So Lugo comes out. Lugo is not the guy I know him, so he was really counted on to be the strong number two to a Diaz, just in case Diaz, kind of reverted back or whatever. Trevor May, another one with that. He was had really good stuff last year, and now he's had some stuff down. Reed Foley got hurt from as well. So like they've had it just within three in the bullpen, and then obviously DeGrom as well. Like they've had significant adversity in the pitching staff, and just the fact that they've had the depth and getting hot with Tyler McGill. And Peterson pitching well for him as well, and then getting Walker and Carrasco come back with some good outings and so forth. The Bassett pickup, right? That's another one that what? If Cohen's not there, they don't get Bassett, right? They would have had enough. The typical Mets in the past, they would have had enough. They said we got 5, and we probably got Peterson for depth, and then it would have been boom boom, and all of a sudden like we're starting God knows who in the rotation. And now they have the strong number 3, and everything works out, right? Everything balances, and it all comes in place, and they still have a little bit of depth in the starting rotation. So I think that's again just a sign of just the franchise itself is being run properly, and $230 million in payroll, whatever, doesn't hurt either. tends to fix those problems, right? Which is kind of what we used to say, right? That's what allowed the big market teams. You get to have that depth, right? The Pirates would never get that. The Royals never get that. If their one guy went down, they were done, right? They can add Bassett just in case.
Yeah, they don't get the mistake at that price.
Exactly.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's really what it is. So they
Yep.
don't get the mistake, but they get they get to incur the risk, right?
Yeah.
They just don't get to
Yeah. They've got to
get
hit on
hammered.
everything, and they can't have anything go against them.
Right.
So in which case, the Mets have been able to buy enough depth prior. Normally, the big market teams you sort of add it along the way, but in this case, they added it prior and are able to hold in. So
Well, what do I always say? Like I like to err on the side of getting more pitching, right? And I was
yep.
wrong when it came to the Mets about Trevor Bauer, right? And but I was right about like just keep adding pitching,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Because you know, look, I like just look what happens.
Yep.
Just look what happens. Like you said, you can't really have
Yeah.
enough of
Particularly,
it from.
particularly in the starters, right? You can always kind of add relievers. There's always a couple of young guys that are coming along that you can pick up from the Reds, the Pirates, the whoever, um, that you can add in. Guys who are going to walk, right? Oh, Diamond Dog loves it. She's all fired up.
Diamond Dog loves pitching. I mean, she
She
loves
does love
pitching.
pitching. She also run the bases though. um, but yeah, they're able to go and get that set, and that's been the difference for them so far.
By the way, on the chat, Jerry Milani's going to the Cardinals game Wednesday. It
Nice.
says "Vamos Yankees, Yankees." I agree. Butler is reading the captions while he's at his son's baseball game. That, my friends, is dedication to
There you go.
Diamond Diehards and to the sport of baseball. Which, by the way, dog, today was it
That's like a double
finally.
header.
Yeah, I know. Today in the Northeast, finally we got like the perfect day. It was just beautiful outside, and Louisa had a softball game. Things did not go the way of the Raiders today, but it was sure beautiful to be out there. But she's been on a roll too, so I got to give Lou some props. She's been tearing the cover off the ball in her softball world right there, which is good because she's working hard, and it's not just she's no longer dog a hockey player that plays softball. She's a hockey player and she is a softball player, and that's
Nice.
really good to see. She's a diehard now. She's a diehard. She's into it,
There we
and
go.
she's been watching a little bit more baseball, a little more attentively. A little like seeing what's this guy doing, and we find stuff that's happening in a game, and we like apply that to stuff that she's run into in the outfield or on the base paths or whatever. But it's good. It's the draw, right? It's the draw for us. Um, Coast to coast here, as we talked about the Mets and the Yankees being the first teams to 20 wins as of the time that we are doing this on the early evening of Monday, May 9th, 2022. The interesting thing is that the Dodgers have quietly compiled the best record in the majors at 19-7. So winning percentage wise, they've played a few less games and they've won more of that percentage. But dog, you know what leaps off the page? The Dodgers are 12 games over 500. Their run differential is plus 74 already. That's
Crazy.
crazy.
It is flat out crazy.
I mean, that's just nuts. The Padres, like, for instance, also have 19 wins. They're a game and a half behind, all in the loss column. They're 19-10 for 655, which is a pretty great winning percentage. Their run difference is plus 15. So they're 9 games over 500. They're plus 15 in their in their run difference. Their expected win-loss percentage, which I believe is based on games with run difference, is 16-13. So they've played 3 games to the better of that. The Dodgers run difference has them an expected win-loss of 21-5. So theoretically, they haven't even been they haven't even been as good as they would be.
That's insane.
But the whole division, dog, in the NL West is over 500 at the moment. The Dodgers 19-7, Padres 19-10. The Rockies 16-12. Same with the Giants. And even the Diamondbacks, dog. The Diamondbacks are 15-9 and 14. Now their run differential is minus 12, so they've been playing a little bit above. However, dog, I'm looking at that last
The
column,
last
which
10?
is
That jumped
no,
out
no,
at me
no, no,
too.
no, no, not
Oh,
the last
okay.
10. No, no, no.
Okay.
Their record versus teams above 500 is
Uh,
10 and 12. That means when they start playing against
yeah, play
the
nothing but
Pirates,
tough teams.
the Cubs, the Reds, the Nats, some of these other teams, um, maybe they're arriving a little quicker than we thought. But that kind of makes the Dodger record to me even more impressive right now, right? Like that they're doing that and they're leading that division with that kind of record. But we have some real rough stuff going on. Like in the NL Central, the Brewers are where we expected them to be, 19 and 10. The Cardinals, like we say, they're always in contention somehow, some way. The Cardinal way, 16 and 12. And then you get to the Pirates, 11 and 16. They haven't
Right where
been
you thought they'd be.
well, they haven't been theoretically as abysmal as you think they would be, but their run difference is minus 45. So they're probably not
It's going
even
to get worse.
yeah, it's going to get worse.
Well, that's
Cubs,
normal. Like the Pirates normally start okay and you feel a little bit, and then it just
yeah.
doesn't
Cubs
age well.
Cubs 9 and 18. They're minus
A
20
little
run
disappointing.
difference.
I would say
Yeah.
we kind of thought the Cubbies would be a little bit better.
And then the Reds are they just took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates to get to 5 and 23. They're minus 79 run difference. Which they're
That's
on
almost
like
hard to do.
almost. It's really hard to do. They're on their way maybe to breaking the 62 Mets record here. Like some people were asking about it, they're like, no, like I heard on Sports Talk Radio or whatever, they're like, this Reds team's like really bad and they gutted it. You think they could break the Mets record? And they're like, no. But like this is
I don't know.
really, really
I think
bad.
you're right there. That's
That's
yeah, and you think they probably sell anything that's decent, right?
yeah.
At the break, right? At
I mean they
the at the
sold it.
deadline.
They sold
They
it
sold almost everything
pre-season.
already,
But they still have, maybe a couple of pieces there that's.
yeah.
I mean, the things that they can't get rid of are related to contracts. So it's not. I don't even think it's worth talking about at this point. The Reds,
Yeah.
although the trade deadline does come up a little bit earlier than you expected. Now in the AL West, the Angels, the one team that I bet to win the World Series at 39 to 1. 19 and 11. So I'm looking good there so far. So far, so good. You got to get into the tournament first. But you think maybe having our pal Ray Montgomery on the bench as Joe Madden's right-hand man is making a little difference there for Anaheim? The Los
Darn
Angeles
tootin'. You're
Angels
darn
of
tootin' it
God?
is. Otani just basically revolutionizing baseball too. Doesn't really hurt either. And Syndergaard's off to a great start too.
And it helps that they changed the rule and they made the Otani rule, right?
Yep.
Where the
Yep.
pitcher, if the pitcher is starting as the DH, he can leave the game as a pitcher and stay in as a DH. Great rule.
Yeah, that's a good rule.
When are the Diamondbacks going to use it for Bumgarner? Why don't they let him hit at this point? Why not?
I don't know.
You
They
probably
don't
get.
need to.
I know. You get
15,
more.
14.
You can get more out of his contract if he's doing that, and he's proven that he can. That he could sock you a home run and get some hits. Astros 18 and 11, so the Angels have a half game lead as we speak, and that's with the Astros having won 7 in a row after they were at the 500 mark. And then the Mariners have regressed quite rapidly here, 2 and 8 in their last 10. They're down to 13 and 16 after a good start. Texas 11 and 16. They don't field the ball very well yet, but I'm really kind of starting to like their pitching. Like Dunning's good. You and I both like John Gray, although he got hurt earlier
Yeah.
in this game. He left the game, and I think he had a no hitter going at the time that he left with an injury, like 4 1/3. But you and I both like John Gray. We like that pickup, and of course, they put their pieces into the middle of the infield with some big money. I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas tick up and move into the middle of that mix here, rather than being more toward the bottom. And of course, the A's at 10 and 18. That's kind of what we expected with their sell-off.
Yep.
Twins have, they've gone. We've seen them go worse to first before. They're trying to do it again in the AL Central, 18-11. White Sox, I predicted them to get off to, the slow start maybe, but also to regress a little bit. They're 14-13, but they've picked it up with a 6-game winning streak. The Guardians are at 14 up and 14 down. They're worse than that, but they have the manager, so they'll keep getting what they need to out of what they have over there, and you just can't count them out. Royals at 9-17, kind of where you expected, a little bit worse than I expected, and they lost Adalberto Mondesi for the season. Looks like he got the ACL, maybe an MCL too. So that's going to hurt a little bit of depth, although it is at positions where they do have some depth. So Bobby Witt Jr. Front and center now there. And the Tigers, 8-19, a disappointment to me because I did pick them as my upset special. And their pitching just has not come around, and that looks like a bad pick by me. But at least I picked the White Sox to regress. So, I was picking somebody from the bottom. I needed to pick the Twins instead of the Tigers. Still early, but, it's going to be hard for them to come out of there. And, of course, we have the AL East where the Yankees are 20-8. The Rays, always there, somehow, some way, 18-11. Jays 17-13, dog, but minus 10 run difference, which is kind of interesting. And the Orioles have passed the Red Sox. The Orioles are 12-17. The Red Sox are 10-19. Now, 6 of those games were without Alex Cora, their manager, but he came back. They ticked up a little bit for a moment, and now they've lost 5 in a row and 8 of their last 10 to fall behind the freaking Orioles, and they're 4-9 at Fenway. I mean, this is the time where the schedule maker, if you're the Yankees, you're like, oh my God, we need to play these guys like today. And they were my pick in the East. So I mushed 2 of them so far. I mushed the Tigers and the Red Sox, but that didn't work with the Angels because I had them. And we didn't talk about the, actually, I kind of skipped over the NL East. Mets at 20-10,
That's
plus
typical.
36 run difference, right?
It's kind of
Braves,
funny that the middle of the division a little weaker, I think, than I would have guessed, and I think probably you as well. I mean, Braves, and your guys there, 14-16 run differentials just about flat, so that's kind of where it's supposed to be. Marlins 13-15, a little better, I think, than I had thought. Though I thought they had pitching to kind of hang in there, and the run differential is actually a +8. So the pitching's kind of there, just don't quite have enough hitting yet to kind of pull it off. That's kind of where the record is showing up. Phillies, you pointed last 2 shows ago, I guess, that they played a lot against the teams with over 500 records. So 12-16 run differential flat. So that kind of feels like maybe that's maybe they get a little bit of their BABIPs. Not quite there, right? So maybe they're they're going to start to make a bit of a run. The bullpen still sucks. And I think maybe the Mets are starting to get in their head a little bit there too, which could be a spiral with that one. And then the Nats, disappointing. The pitching has been terrible for them, so that's really killed them so far. We'll see. I mean, that team always seems to have a ton of talent, but they're off to a rough start, and we gotta see if they can turn that one around, because it's gonna be a tough division. So I mean, you can lay back a little bit, but you're not gonna lay up for too long, because really there's too many horses to pass in the course, unless you're Rich Strike, then you can do it.
and I think that's where his only other win came was at Churchill Downs, if we're talking about that. Mike Sappho says he is watching. I haven't
Really?
seen the comments, though. Maybe he can't
Where
comment.
what
Well, he told me on
continent is he
Twitter.
watching from?
He told me what continent. That's right. He did. He tweeted that he's watching because I put it out on Twitter.
Nice.
Jump in. So we
There
haven't
you
seen
go.
him in the comments, but hey,
Paul
Mike Sappho.
Gallagher is watching. Paul Gallagher is watching.
Wow.
That's only taken 2 years of nagging.
No, he's watched before. He has watched
A
before.
little bit.
He's given us the Ranger
Not
hockey
on the
update.
actually not on the Facebook. He hasn't been on the Facebook. He watches it the real deal. So
That's
welcome, Paul.
We'll take it.
The other Uncle Paul.
We'll take it any way we could get it, baby. All right, dog. We said we're gonna look quickly at the stats. Should we even bother, or should we just go to Diehard Dads? What do you think?
Just go to Diehard Dads.
Oh, okay.
It's early in the season. What you want to take a quick peek? Let's take a quick peek.
We'll take a quick
Let's
peek. Okay.
Let's just
So-
talk about Otani.
Okay, but just so people know, we talked about this before, that Dog and I have not been looking at the stats, the league leaders, at all. So we pledged that we weren't going to do it until this moment. So I just pulled him up there. And apparently Taylor Ward from the Angels is leading the majors in everything right now. Let's see, dog. Let's go for. We got to be old school, dog. I feel like we got to go batting average.
Batting average,
Let's
exactly.
pick
You
the
got to start
batting
with batting average.
Okay, we're going to go to batting average, and that is Manny Machado. So he has picked up the slack for his injured teammate Fernando Tatis Jr. And Machado, 385, 7 homers, 21 ribbies, 15 walks to boot, and a 1.102 OPS. So he's your NL MVP. And I think Taylor Ward is probably your AL MVP right now. 364, 1165 OPS, 6 homers, 15 ribbies, 19 walks. We like that. That's gaudy. Oh, Machado also 6 for 6 in steals. That's got to be close to a career high. I don't even remember him running that much when he was young.
Yeah.
Taylor Ward, a little bit less of a sample. He's played a few less games. But like Eric Hosmer has woken up this year for the Padres. It's kind of interesting, right? Like Luke Voigt
Still don't
walks
like
in the
him.
door. Luke Voigt walks in the door, and Eric Hosmer like wakes up having his best year. And you talked about the Nationals before. Josh Bell, like he's tearing the absolute cover off the ball for them. 343 batting average, 971 OPS, 4 homers, but he has 21 ribbies in 29 games. And a nice high walk rate with 17, but his strikeouts are down. He's only struck out 12 times, and that's in versus 102 at bats. Forget about the plate appearances. So, for some of these losing teams, dog, we see guys up here like Xander Bogaerts is having his usual banner year. He just doesn't have the homers or the ribbies at this point. The Mariners have been bad, but J.P. Crawford has been really good. The White Sox haven't been what you expected, but Tim Anderson has done what you want. But Tim Anderson, dog, 1 walk in 23 games. He's still hitting 337. Why? Because he's only struck out 10 times. He hits the ball everywhere, and he can run a little bit. Arenado's been great for the Cards.
Yep.
330. 1021 OPS, 7 homers, 24 ribbies. Let's go to the homer leaders real quick, dog. There's your guy. Your guy right at the top. At least among
the cousin.
Well, no, that's my guy. Your guy is Buxton.
Oh, true. All right. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking at cousin Anthony on there.
Well,
Yeah, Buxton's been huge. So
now, how long is he out for? Right? Like that's the question.
Yeah.
So he's got 9 homers in 19 games, whereas C.J. Cron from the Rockies, Aaron Judge, and Anthony Rizzo have all played almost 30 games. So he's got, he's piling up the stats, but you never know how long he's going to be out for. How about Willie Adames from the Brewers? 8 homers. He's only hitting 223, but a lot of walks, so he's got a 326 on base. And an 817 OPS, but he's been a revelation for the Brewers. They kind of got him for not that much from the Rays last year, and he's really
was not. Yeah, I'm about to say it was not talked up with the whole shortstop rotisserie going around, right? But that he worked out very well for him on there.
Yeah, I mean he's
Schwarber. I gotta say, I was watching him. He's been the one who's been basically single-handedly keeping the Phillies in it against the Mets. He's been a monster for him. Somehow he's only hitting 211, so apparently I've seen every hit he's had this year.
Yeah, I feel like he usually walks a lot more. I mean, he's got 14 walks in 26 games, which is a good rate against 95 at bats. So his plate appearances are under 120, but I feel like he usually walks a little bit more than that. Anyway, what about ribbies? Old school. We talk about it. Jose Ramirez from Cleveland. The Guardian superstar there. He got the contract. It's reasonable. He's going to be able to stay in that market. And he's somebody talked about him on one of the shows that I was listening to the other day. Like, is it possible this guy's the best player in the league? And they were like, no. And then like you stop and think about it. You're
Look at the actual numbers, right?
Yeah. Like he might actually be.
Yeah.
Because he's like a Gold Glove third baseman. He switch hits. He hits for power. He drives and runs. He's like, even when he's the only guy in the lineup, 308, 407 on base, 625 slugging, 1032 OPS, 7 homers, 30 ribbies, 17 walks. He's only struck out 10 times. He's even stolen 3 out of 4. 16 runs in 29 games for a team that's not scoring a whole heck of a lot. They have a nice top three with Miles Straw, Stephen Kwan, and Ramirez. And Franmil Reyes hasn't, couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag. I mean, he either hits the ball 530 feet or he strikes out, the other 14 at bats, right? Um, he's a great story. I mean that you have guys like that, and you have Frank Conan, you have a Shane Bieber, and you never know what the Guardians are going to be able to do. They somehow keep themselves afloat, and if one or two of these other players pop up and they strike gold, you never know. They somehow they find their way back without having to bottom out too much. Polar Bear Dog, 26 quiet RBIs. I feel like he has them all DHing.
Yeah. And he definitely tacked up a bunch recently here. The fact he's listed as DH is probably irking him. So he takes a lot of pride in the whole first base thing. But frankly, that's where he belongs. He should be playing. He should be DH and letting Dom play first. But
I feel like when
but
Alonso...
he hits better. I think he's one of those guys, right? Like you sort of said with Stanton, right? Like he likes being out in the field, and that's like just kind of keeps him in it, and typically gets them locked in with that.
I feel like Alonso, when he has this, I feel like he has bad defensive games, but most of the time he's actually pretty.
Yeah, he's not bad. And then I think Dom's better. Yeah, I don't think he's a butcher.
No, but I feel like when he's bad defensively, it's like in a game. Every 12th game, you're like, man, he's just not looking good tonight.
Clunking, yeah.
And then the next game he's like fine, and the next game he's fine until he's not.
Yeah.
Interesting. Any of these other names that jump out?
Kind of digging Wilmer Flores at 19 RBIs, same as Bryce Harper right now.
Oh, you know what? He had a grand slam on Saturday.
Against Mets. Yeah, it was Battle of the Yanks-Mets. And every Met fan has an oversized soft heart for Wilmer. So
I couldn't believe
it's always kind of fun to see.
He has 6 career grand slams.
The guy's just clutching like everything.
So Saturday night, Dog, we went to see the great Vince August. We saw Vince August, the great.
Oh, nice. Uh-huh.
And at the place that we were at, it was a nice little place in Westwood, New Jersey called Prohibition. So if you don't follow Vince August, go find him on Facebook. And
funny guy.
It's a bar. It's a restaurant bar, and they had the TVs on before he came out and did his performance. So we went there, went with Debbie and my sister Madeline, my brother-in-law Steve, and our friend Dee Dee. And
nice.
it was a pretty great night, but they had the TVs on, and Wilmer Flores hit a grand slam, and I go to Debbie, I go, Wilmer Flores has 6 career grand slams. Who knew that? That's where it was.
There you go.
Yeah, so there's some good stuff out there. Let's see if there's anything weird. You know what? I'm not looking at the chat because I'm looking at the stats. We got it. Jerry Milani's going to want to know who's leading the league in triples. It's Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins. He's got 3. A bunch of people have 2, but not that many. I'm going to name them. Nice. Michael Chavis, Jake Cronenworth, Hunter Dozier, Tommy Edman, Andres Jimenez, Trent Grisham, Connor Joe, Josh Lowe, Austin Meadows, Jose Ramirez, Jesus Sanchez, and Colton Wong. Those are your triple guys in the majors this year. Doubles? Is anybody to double digit? Yeah, Matt Olson from the Braves. Caution.
We got to talk about the Dwight Morris with the great comment, by the way, the Met on Met crime. So
Dwayne.
Morris. Dwayne. Oh, what did I say? Dwayne? I'm sorry, Dwayne.
Dwight Schrute. He's the guy with the beet farm. Dwayne Morris is our guy. Jerry with the triple. Okay.
Dog also needs reading glasses. So.
Yeah. Well,
especially the little teeny print that in black. It's asking a lot of the dog's eyes right now.
By the way,
actually, I had that in my head though, and I reversed it anyway. So I saw that, I read it, and I just said it wrong anyway. So apologies.
The funny thing is, I have it on my browser. I can never see who's in here. I just see that there's however many people, but I can't see who they are. And I think are you watching on the phone or something?
Yeah.
So the
phone, Facebook on my phone.
So the phone tells you, I guess, how many people.
You have to flick up to do it. It's like podcasting for boomers.
got enough shit going.
Dead X.
Hey, I got
X.
us going this far, right? I mean, like
That's true.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. We're firing away tonight. We got this place is packed in here.
There you go.
It's pretty yeah.
So what happens when Dog doesn't have a scout meeting?
Yeah, well, it's Monday Night Live, right?
There you go.
Oh boy, Dwayne's pissing on the South Side uniforms the Shy Sox are wearing. Good. We'll just piss on everything Shy Sox. Although last show, the sniper Barry Spears was wearing the old White Sox hat. I don't know if you got to look at that.
Oh, I didn't. Yes, I did see that.
He started at the show. He started. Now Barry's got a sick hat collection. He's got like every Rays or Devil Rays hat I think like ever made, because he's a Florida guy. But not that like he's partial to them or anything. But he's starting out the show. He's got the backwards hat on and it's got the MLB logo. I'm like, we got to reverse that. Like, what's on the other side? And it's the old
nice.
Like the early '80s Shy Sox. It was a nice touch. It was a nice touch.
Very cool.
Well, he could do like a lot of sports stuff with us, Barry Spears. He's awesome.
Nice.
Well, you'll get him. That's one of those shows where Dogs when you're like, oh man, I needed to be there, but I couldn't. You wouldn't have enjoyed it though, because it was just me talking about the Kentucky Derby.
I mean, I'll just be hanging out and listening.
But,
so I'm just gonna get away on that.
Okay, so I think that what we did was we kind of segued our way into Diehard Dads. So I'm going to play the jingle now as we transition to our final piece of the show, and that is Diehard Dads. And I didn't screw that up, so I'm very happy about that. Okay, so it's one of these things in life that we don't want to have to deal with, but unfortunately we do. And
everybody does.
It was in a way. We had the show scheduled last week. I was like, I don't need, I'm not going to bother Dog with trying to do this episode on the Kentucky Derby. I'll just jump in and do it myself, because I do have a lot of experience with horse racing, and I've worked in the industry, and I had somebody that it was an idea that was planned before, and as it turned out, unfortunately, earlier on that day,
it's also a busy earning day of the season for me too.
Yeah,
15 earnings.
Dog unfortunately lost his dad that day. So when we talk about Diehard Dads, ours both were intricate in us being where we are now, and having unfortunately walked through those shoes. Our condolences go out to you, Dog, and your family for this. Listen, it doesn't matter. It's like, you might know it's coming, you might not know, and it doesn't really change the hurt or the pain. We want you to know, obviously, from here, you got your network here, and I know you're a pretty private guy, and I actually was appreciative that you were willing to share a little bit of your feeling on here, and let's spend Diehard Dads talking a little bit about your dad.
Yeah, thanks, Riz. Yeah, the Diehard Granddad on there. Yeah, it's tough. I lost Mom a while ago. I mean, God, over 20 years at this point here. Yeah, my dad was a rock, and he was just a classic old school guy who, hardest working guy I knew. Basically on Saturday morning he would just get up at 7:30 or 8, have his cereal and his orange juice, and then put on some work stuff and went outside and worked outside, and pretty much kind of did that. Come in for lunch, pick out for dinner, like that was it. That's kind of the way he enjoyed himself. He went in, was doing something, working on the lawn, working here, working there, working wherever. He just loved to do it, and set such a great example for the rest of us to kind of follow. Brooklyn Dodger fan growing up. Grew up in the Catskills back in the day, and down in Brooklyn, met mom down there, Brooklyn Dodgers fan, etc. Became Mets fans along the way. Um, you know, like sports. I wouldn't say love sports like to the degree sort of we do because he just worked too much, right? So he'd watch the game if it was on, 7:30. You pop it on, and we'd be watching the TV, and then the game would come on. You watch at 7:30, and we watch the game and so forth. But he was always there for us. We never wanted for anything, and gave us a great environment to kind of grow up. Was a great dad and granddad to all of us. At the end, he wasn't able to move around, which was driving him crazy. So I think he's in a better spot now. He was pretty fortunate relative to other people. We had 85 plus really good years. He helped me rebuild my deck like 3 years ago. He's like 82. He's like sitting there moving like two by 10 by 12s, whatever, around with me and stuff like that. He'll build the pergola, which was like a monster one on there.
By the way, that
75 plus then, right?
That deck is stellar. That is a great.
That was pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
that was like his enjoyment. Like you came down and like I literally was like he's like, he's basically like, what are we doing? I'm like, well, I mean, Dad, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you're kind of up there now. Whatever you feel like doing, you want to hold the end of the tape, you want to do this. I'm like, he's sitting there cutting everything, this, that, whatever, and putting this in and all that. So, so that was great. And that was sort of a really great bonding moment. I remember back, making our pergola that I got from Debbie's posting way back when. So I actually started with Hat Trick Deb on there, and I tweaked the design a little bit through some stuff on there, but that was a multi-generational one on there. So yeah, I should might name the pergola after him. I was thinking about that. I might put a little plaque up there for it, but it was Dad, me, and Ryan helping to build the pergola. So it was really kind of cool. 3 generations of Healy doing that. So anyway, long story short, he was a great guy. He was loved by many. Loved to dance. Would never say no to a good beer, and just a fun guy. So enjoyable, and he got to, he left it all on the floor. I think he lived a great full life, and we'll see him down the road.
Well, I think the greatest legacy that any man or woman could leave is their kids, and I'm thankful to have his son as one of my best friends, and one of my foxhole go-to buddies, no matter what the situation. And every time we went to the Healy house, you just felt like you were home. Always welcome, and even the Italian guy.
That's funny. I actually the cousins always talk about that. I kind of growing up to the Healy house was sort of like, most of my cousins were kind of down in the city or like Nassau County and stuff like that. So we were kind of up in sort of horse country up in Katona, and that was almost like the vacation. So it was wonderful for me as a young guy growing up that basically everyone would come up and send their kids up for a week with us, and then the next set of cousins would come up and stuff like that, and that was basically the way we spent our summers growing up, which is really special. And he sort of it all started with Dad having up there, literally built that pool by himself or by hand, thing out there, rebuilt it by hand a couple of times, which is unbelievable. I'm out there, and that's just like emblematic of like who it was. I mean, I had a funny one on, what was it? We got like multiple in there, like we were he was like the president of the Boosters Club and stuff, and like him and John, like a couple buddies. I think I might chimed in there too. We're like, we basically built like the bleachers for like the high school fields. Like we assembled it out there. Like no BS. We did this at he was the CFO of New York Air. So those you remember way back when, it became part of the Eastern and now Continental and all that. So it's like a little shuttle. And like no BS. So he's CFO. So he's like one of the top dogs and whatever. We literally went down there. It was like him, me, like me is like 12 or 13-year-old me or something, like maybe. and my brother was probably 17 or 18. Like we basically built like the cubicles for like their entire like finance department, like on like a Sunday. Like they're like assembling the whole thing. Like it was all like completely child labor. Sitting down there. I'm like, but that just, I mean, that just literally was emblematic of who Tom Healy was. That, you know, it did, and, you know, saved us some bucks so we could do it. And that's what he did. So,
Hey, yeah, you were good for the budget, man. He was a really good.
so, we didn't go over budget, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're assembling.
I'm not figuring out a bagel out of it, frankly.
Yeah, we're buying and assembling all these cubicles, and
Yeah.
it's going to be done by Monday.
Yeah,
And,
that's all you need to know.
and you know what? It's free. It's free. It's not costing us anything.
There you go. That was pretty much it. Yeah, and I crack it up. I think about it over time. I'm like, who would do this these days? Like now I've got to pay $1,000 for a guy to move the phone on one side of the desk, the other side of the desk for me. Like built the whole freaking floor. So
I know that's
yeah,
the
pretty
thing,
funny.
right? Like they were from,
It's different,
you know,
different times.
part of it is like, you know, when we lose our parents at this age, you know, they're from a different generation, and you know, so much like that that is just lopped on everywhere you read. You know, they want to knock those people and the way they thought, and you know, for us, it's like the way that we were raised, and you just understood that they were made of different stuff,
Yeah,
and it didn't make them any less people. It's just they were dealing with different things,
yeah,
and they had different ways of dealing with different things because they're, you know, think about like their grandparents that might have like they could have been from, you know, the 1860s, right? Like, and from a
yep,
different country, like,
yep,
so, you know, we could get into a lot of different stuff
yeah,
about that, but the main thing is that it's as Dwayne says, and you know, Dwayne's unfortunately part of this club with us. It was a blessing for us, you know, it really was. Like
yep,
to have these people, you know, these strong men in our lives, and you can't replace it. You just
yep.
you know, hopefully you live your life the right way, and when you do go through those things, you have good people around you to kind of
Yep.
help you through it, and
Try
nothing.
and roll forward, right?
Yeah,
Try
I
and live
mean,
up to it, and try and do just a little bit more for your kids. Right?
yeah, and you
That's
know,
sort
I
of the
mean,
American way, right?
you don't get over it. You just,
Yeah,
you know, it just becomes part of your, it becomes part of your DNA. And, you know, some days are worse than others. And, you know, I mean, like you said, nothing beats family. You could have all the money in the world, or you could have none. If you have your family around you and it's loving, there's no, you know, that's a true blessing. Not everybody gets it.
nope,
Not everybody
nope.
gets
And you
it.
can't buy it, not for
And you
real.
cannot buy it. You can't. Well,
All right,
uh,
there we go. So here
it's
we
a
go. So
podcast about
so
baseball and about life.
there you go. Actually, we got to do a thing with the tell more do on here. So this was
Oh
actually I'll
yeah.
finish up one last little story. This also came from Tom Healy. So this is a couple of years ago. We're hanging out at a local restaurant by us, and my dad orders some Tullamore Dew. Okay, it's interesting. I've had different Irish whiskeys, never really had that before. And he goes, it was your grandfather's, my grandfather, so his father's favorite drink growing up. I'd never heard that before. Right, so this is again is, you know, almost 50 years in. That's the first time I heard that. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful, Mike. So I'm like, you know what? Let me have one too then. I'm like, you know, if you're having it, I'm like, we'll have that and we'll sort of start it. And that's a little thing that I've sort of picked up. That was, it was great to get that little tidbit. I mean, if you didn't mention it there, I would never have known it. And now I kind of got that, and I've been trying to pass it down to sort of my guys and stuff. And I, you know, buy them a bottle of Tullamore Dew and say, you know, this is sort of the, you know, the Healy cross generational remembrance. So when you go and have some of this, remember grandpa, remember great grandpa, remember dear old dad, and all that good stuff, and sort of pass that one on down. So there we go. There's to you, Dad and Grandpa.
Remember where you came from, and don't forget where you're going.
Yep.
How about that?
That's delicious. Not gonna lie.
It's kind of a terrible job by me going with just the water tonight. It's woefully unprepared. Wait, we didn't have Tullamore Dew in the rundown. Did we?
Yeah, we always like to learn
Oh,
our sponsor. Tell them we're due. Give you a nice little pumped your tires there.
yeah.
And the official Ranger up the official glassware of Diamond Diehards.
Speaking of sponsors, I think we got a little bit caught up there.
Yeah.
But don't forget to check out Dog if you're you're not feeling up to things here. You know, you're a little down. Maybe a couple too many told more dues. Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness the next
There you
day
go.
could help cure the hangover. In Glen
Nice.
Rock, New Jersey, a little drive for you, not so much for the people in Bergen County. Gatto Acu, GATTOACU.com, or call 551-212-3845. Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness, Glen Rock, New Jersey. Just down the road in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, at the Bergen and
Love the clip you did.
County. Oh, thank you. It's Big
Love.
Ed's Car Wash, 1716 River Road, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Your car will come out sparkling inside and out. Tell Big Ed that Diamond Diehards sent you. Big Ed's Car Wash, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And don't forget to go on our YouTube channel and check out our little recent visit with Big Ed. And Dog will be, I sense in my bones that you will be getting over there soon. I really do. It's a little bit of a hike for you, but we're going to get you dragged up here. The Rizzo backyard hopefully will be done soon. And, there's nothing like, you can't show up to my house with a fucking dirty car, dude. You got to stop at Big Ed.
Can he handle the Silverado?
Big Ed, and if you show up.
That tunnel?
Oh, yeah. Big
yeah.
Ed, that's like
No
nothing.
problem. No problem.
And if you show up with a dirty ride, Big Ed, he'll probably be here. He only lives around the block, so he'll be like, "Hey, man, come down." Like Ed is like the nicest guy ever, even though he went to Don Bosco. Mascolo Group, serving all of your real estate needs in the Northern Valley and Passaic Valley and all of Northern New Jersey. Go to GaryMascolo.com, GaryMascolo.com, or call 201-615-3665 if you're buying, renting, or looking to move out of the North Jersey area. And Gary and Michele will take care of all your needs. GaryMascolo.com or 201-615-3665. And of course, get the word out in your printing and promotional needs. Putting old school, we talked about average home runs and RBIs. Well, printing and promotional needs is old school too, right? FMSgraphics.com has the new school way of taking care of you. 1 or 2 clicks and you'll have all your printing and promotional needs taken care of. Go to fmsgraphics.com, fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. Okay. And we love our sponsors and we like to interact and keep checking out our YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out because you can watch these videos there, or you could check out some of the fun stuff that we've been doing as well and get to know Big Ed in a minute and 37 seconds or whatever that video was. It was a fun spot that we went over there and just winged it right on the spot. One take, barely even had to edit that thing. That's how good Ed is on camera and getting your vehicle clean. All right, Dog. I have to say, in the clutch, you always come through. I know this. You're still in the middle of all this. A lot of emotions there, and once again, so eloquently sharing your story with us. And I'm sure you'll be receiving a lot of these condolences and I know that you're going to accept it the right way. It might be a little bit of a deluge like we've had here on the live stream and otherwise, but you're well deserving of it. And you're not just a great friend, you're a great man, and I'm glad that your father's legacy lives in you, my friend, my good friend. Okay. That is going to do it. Don't forget to check us out. We already told you about all the places that you could check out our sponsors. You can follow us at Diamond Diehards on every social media that you could possibly think of, including TikTok. Maybe we'll throw another thing up on TikTok. Every one of our TikToks has basically done really well, so check us out there. And
the intern's coming back pretty soon.
Oh,
She's coming home for summer.
All right, we're going to put her to work.
Yeah. She'll daddy back for some bucks.
Yeah. She might
Yeah,
get
we're
paid.
gonna get that worked off.
She could, because she could get paid in some Tullamore due as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
We get paid off, and maybe Daddy will pay for the bill from this in the fall.
Yeah, that too. That's a good way to do it too. Follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's Jeff Healy and the number 8. He's a great follow, and especially if you're into the energy sector, you'll learn more about energy from Dog
Ukraine.
and all that stuff. So Dog's a great follow over there. Check him out. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, we really, really, really want you to join over there, because that's probably where you get the best content and the most interaction. So check us out on the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Diamond Diehards. And of course, all your podcasting apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon for the audio files, TalkShoe as well, and YouTube for the video stuff, and Facebook for the video stuff as well. That is going to do it for a Monday Night Live. The Yankees and the Mets, and the Dodgers too, ruling MLB through May 9th, 2022. For the dog, Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.